Hello everyone, not to the Games Show stream again. This, we were originally supposed to be doing Thomas and Friends today, but unfortunately it's not happening for a reason that since Malachite was supposed to be the host on that one, um, he did ask me if I could do the stream about an hour earlier than I usually do, and that but unfortunately, the reason why it's not happening is that his uncle is in a hospital. But we don't know exactly for what reason, but hopefully it's not any quite serious. So today I decided to do something else instead. I wasn't really sure exactly which topic to do as questions this time. I was I was considering our three topics, either Japan history, um, Disney Gummy Bears, or cryptids. So yeah, decided to take a cryptid. So, but that depends also if how many others will eventually show up. Since we had at least one of my friends here, this maniac.
Yep, that's me. I'm not sure where everyone else is though.
Who knows? Yeah, his brother is still at the gym as always. So, like I said, Malachite is not available at the time since who knows. I'm Lord. Unfortunately, is not available either. He is let's see, he is visiting a friend and was going to stay over for the night. So that's what's happening. Um, Polarizer actually reached out to me yesterday and the first like in a few months. He apologized for using non-friendly profile picture, which, but to be frankly, I had totally forgot about it. So yeah, I really had no idea what else to say about that. Um, if Polarizer would show up, well, that's up to him. Hayden is not online, so Kuvu. Now that's another thing that don't count on him. Though he did actually show up a couple of weeks ago, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, or was it more? I don't even remember what when actually, but it was not that long ago. But yeah, he hasn't all been busy himself, so I wouldn't say much of Gubero. But if anyone else wants to be part of this game show stream, they're always welcome. I mean, as supposedly if Brony will show up, but uh, that's difficult to say right now since we don't have any form of any direct contact with Brony in a way, in any form, like no email, no something like that, or even Discord. So, Stormy, which hasn't even either been on my streams in a while either, so that's another thing. Um, Goddess, well, she did tell me that one of the reasons why she is not joining the streams much is that she doesn't feel comfortable and that she doesn't want to be in the spotlight, if you get my drift. So, which completely understandable. So, yeah, so who wonders if there's gonna be any Angel stream about cryptids or not? That depends on if anyone else want to join in. It's the link is there. Just click on it. Well, if you can actually see the link, since that happened before, that despite I put the link, no one did see it. Even Game Guide couldn't see it though at those times. Am I right?
Yeah, sometimes it
Which
doesn't
is
show up, so I'm actually going to put it down there too.
yeah, which is a little bit odd. So so your how your day been so far?
Good.
Yeah, same here. I just much done today actually. It's just I got up around 1 p.m. ish. Um, Surprisingly, though, my sister and my second oldest niece showed up without without I even know it. I mean, I knew at least that my niece was supposed to be with her dad for the weekend, along with her other two older siblings. Wait, one of her older and her younger brother, and that the two youngest were are with their are with their um, other grandparents. Uh, two different dads, so which is something. So, what was your opinion about this Native American mythology we did yesterday?
It wasn't bad. Ugh, I'm dying. But yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I really wish that we could have done more of those, but it was a little bit hard to even to find enough questions. To be honest, I just you know I really wish that we can done more of Native Americans if it all mythology question game show streams. It just despite there are over almost 600 tribes officially by federal recognized, it's and a lot of them has may not even had on the most of their you know some of them may not even had all of their information, their mythology on the web, on the online. So that's a bummer. Of course, there are even some old ancient tribes that's we know a lot of, like, but we don't know much about their folklore or something like that. So that might be a little bit difficult. Oh, that Yetro Mellet.
Jethro?
That Yetro Mellet. Hello. The name Yetro actually kind of reminds me of Yetro Gibbs from Navy CSI, which is a good show. I hadn't even seen that in such a long time, actually. Kind of lost interest for that most. So yeah, so since my niece or my sister here, I haven't been done much. Just took them with my dog, my mom and them, the dog for a walk, and yeah, that was pretty much it. Being at the computer for most of the day. Um, I did finish my Scotland history quiz, my second one. I was a little bit surprised that I actually managed to find enough questions for the second one, but sadly there was some questions that I didn't use since I wasn't sure. I found about one Scottish food dish that I couldn't use, but it didn't say exactly on Wikipedia when that type of food dish was first in use or when it was first invented. So I used Google search for that type of food dish, but it only said it was invented some of 500 years ago. But it didn't exactly mention from like 500 years from this year or so. If it was around the 1500s, I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to say for sure about that. So it was a lot of questions that I managed to figure out, at least that part. Um, let's see if there's anyone else on this Discord. Nope. Uh, Polarizer is online, but I suspect that he is playing on his new Xbox because he mentioned that. Let's see here. What is it said? He said he's great. Just been going to work and it's been playing my new Xbox. So
Yeah, I got no clue.
Yeah, I mean, so far Hayden has even he's not online, and um, Malaka is not even available. So without a doubt, Kubo, no idea what he is up to. Lord, oh, I don't know. Cody though, no, that's another thing. It's just yeah, he's probably have some doing something else himself, and Prince Chaos, well, no idea. I mean, Indiana though, we haven't heard from her in a couple of weeks now, at least 2 or 1 week, something like that. Ever since she started made her own stream for for the first time in a while now, and strange yes, she did had Facebook. What I mean is like did had, but only about a few days ago when I just went on to see what she was up to, it was deactivated. It's like because I went to my friend list. It says her name and it says it deactivated. I was like, what? And she normally in the past when she had problems with something or if she was gonna to leave Discord for a while or if she made new Discord, she always mentioned that to us afterwards. But this time she never mentioned that she was going to deactivate her Facebook. Said we know that she had also Twitter, which
Oh, yeah, can we talk about that for a second? For some
uh,
weird reason, they changed Twitter to X, and I don't know why.
.com.
Which is the
Yeah,
fucking stupidest thing in the world.
yeah, that's weird. Yeah, because um, I wasn't even aware that it was actually Five Goddess who told me that I think it was 2 or 3 days ago that Twitter is no longer about the name, but it's known as X.com. Like just simple X. It's like what? That is the most craziest, the weirdest, oddest name for a website. Like, okay, like say someone like, oh, by the way, do you have any social media? Facebook? No. Do you have Twitter? Do you have X.com? Like, X.com? What is that? And that is the new name of Twitter. Even though since Elon Musk bought the rights from the website, the company, the thing is, before he actually made it official, he was considered to back out of the deal. In fact, I do believe that he made a poll on Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I mean, that's just this what most people are familiar with it is called. Now it's like if someone like say X.com, it's like probably not a lot of people the concept that is now a whole new different name. So yeah, so they changed the name, but he was I believe that he was part of the boarding directors of the company. Um, then he put a poll on Twitter that if they if he wanted the users of Twitter if they wanted him to quit or step down from the board of directors, and he said that he will follow the most votes. If there was a lot of yes, he will step down. And what should happened when he was considered buying Twitter, they were like for several billions of dollars for it. But then he was considered to back out of the back of this deal, and that will call they threatened him with that with some type of lawsuit for billions of dollars in response. But he never did. He actually bought the rights for now, and that's why they did to change the name from Twitter to X.com. And I'm saying this. A lot of people that has a Twitter account they probably is so weirded out, like really strange that they had changed the name. And even Facebook is actually was bought by another company called Meta. I believe the same owner, like Mark Zuckerberg. Did you see the movie by Facebook?
What do you mean?
Have you seen the movie Facebook?
I have not.
They actually made a movie about that some years ago. How he, when he was still in college in Howard, how he came up with the idea of the Facebook. Him and a few other guys at the school. Well, well, well! Look who finally showed up. Polarizer.
In the flesh.
Holy fucking shit! It's a polarizer. Everybody run!
I am
Where are
sorry
these?
for. I'm sorry for my anti-social bits. I want to say a few words to each and every one of you that I am sorry for my last appearance for the profile picture that I added on there, and I'm sorry for going 4 whole fucking months. Apologies for my language, without an apology, and I had to apologize to you, Diablo, yesterday via through Discord. So I am so glad I'm back, and and I've just also got some big news to tell you that I've got a job.
Yeah, you're working at the Children's Hospital or something?
Yep.
Like assistant?
Well, no, I'm fully employed now. I'm employed. I used to do paid work at school, but now I'm fully employed by the NHS. I'm fully
So
employed.
you finished school entirely?
No. I've only got 1 more year left, but
Okay.
I'm only gonna
Are you
be going
in
3 days a week.
are you in college or high school?
No, I'm in college.
So college is like high school in
Yeah.
I mean the same term?
But I'm in a special needs school.
Okay. So
As a college.
yeah, since I know that the UK doesn't have high school like the same term as the United States has.
Nah.
Sweden doesn't even have the use of the same high school either. But we still have the same grades, but just a different name for school.
Yeah.
But we even had this special aids classes, even schools. That's just
And I've got a review to show you because right now I went down to a manga shop. Let me show you. Ta-da! First time seeing
and
my
I can
face.
say this. I can show you guys Paul Rice's new profile. This is his new profile.
This was during my 4 months. This was my 4 months. So no one's gonna ask, wait, where the hell was Polarizer gone?
Yeah.
How was he gone? So yeah. Anyways, I went down to the manga shop today. I killed off my bank account because I don't.
Whoa! You went to the mango shop. Calm down. You're going too crazy.
Okay. All of this I got is Sonic merch because I'm a Sonic fan. Kill me. So
Okay.
I've got a Sonic hat.
Well, I mean, Sonic is. I mean, to be fair, I had even seen. I've seen both Sonic character movies so far. But I hadn't seen. Well, actually, by the way, have you seen Sonic Prime?
Oh, Sonic Prime? No, not really.
I've seen the
seen
first.
the new Elemental movie.
I've seen the first season of Sonic Prime, and all I can say is it's not what I expected. And they had released the second season not long ago. Yeah, and as Coded Dragon said to me on Facebook yesterday that MLP G5 is gonna have chapter 6. It's gonna be the last chapter of Make Your Mark entirely. I told him it's gonna be 2 episodes of that season, or that chapter, in one special movie. It's
This was all £93. All of this. It wasn't
You know-
cheap.
I'd rather be in the. If I had to say one of my favorite characters from Sonic would be Tails, Sonic, and what's her name? Sally.
Oh wait, I thought he was gonna go for
Sally Acorn.
Shadow.
Yeah.
Shadow.
She's never. Yeah. And other than that, and of course, who would not be forgetting Cream and her mom? They are also the good characters.
Just avoid the fan fictions, please.
Oh yeah.
They killed me. They killed me, and oh my god, I go on fan fictions.
Wait, they
for all
killed
the
you?
wrong
We're
reasons.
talking to a
I
ghost
can't.
right now?
Yeah.
But do you know who Vector the Crocodile Espion is?
Oh yeah, I've
SPO?
heard about him.
Team
wait,
Chaotico?
you talking about that guy with the rings on there? Because I remember like seeing him in the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Beijing 2008.
Yeah, Vector Crocodile, which is in it's Sonic Sprite movies when he says finding in the computer room repeatedly.
Yeah.
That guy, he is actually not a bad character. I mean, he and his 2 friends, Espio the Chameleon and Charmy B, which in the Sonic Sprites, he is a fine pyromaniac, burn down people's houses for fun. I mean,
Fam,
that's
why burn down? Why arson for fun?
yeah, just for
Why,
fun. Yeah, and at Espio, he plays Conrad Chameleon, the song, repeatedly, like non-stop for hours without anyone, regardless how other people hate it.
And I just got the new Samsung tablet today.
Hmm.
And I've just paid for on Amazon. I just went and bought a new case as well as an SD card.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Are you guys want to play the game show stream, or should we do something else? Or I mean, you're the only ones that actually showed up for the most.
To be fair, like I haven't been on here for 4 months because.
Well, I mean, we
gosh.
had done a lot of different topics over game show stream, like from Pokemon, MLP, space. I know for a while now.
Oh yeah. During my disappearance, I had the possibility of completing season 1 of Sailor Moon, like not the IC dub, but the VIC dub from 2014, where they redubbed the whole anime as a whole.
Which version are you referring to? The original or the Crystal?
VIC dub. Oh, and I've also watched the Crystal one as well.
Yeah.
I'm currently on season 3.
I seen both the original and the Crystal. They did still maintain some of the originals in the new reboot of Sailor Moon, but they changed some part of it. But I don't mind as long as they keep a lot of the original parts from the, so they still maintain a lot of the original storyline and some of that. But when it comes to, like, say, Disney's live action movies, they completely ruined much of this. So I can say this: Frozen 3 will be released sometimes for hopefully perhaps next year. Zootopia 2.
No, I'm sorry, but Frozen is torture. I can't.
I know
Frozen.
that.
No.
Well, I mean,
No.
the first one was pretty good. The second.
How no? We don't speak about the first one.
I mean as how they made the movie as CGI. That was good enough. But
I know.
second one is but Zootopia though. That movie was good.
Oh, you talking about Zootropolis?
Yeah, with
Uh-huh.
Judy
You guys,
and Nick and
you
all
guys
that.
watched
It's gonna be a second movie also in development. By the way, Polarizer, have you seen Toy Story movies by any chance? I mean, the latest one they made.
I've seen all four. I've seen all four. Like fam, I've spoken about the Disney movies with my mates, and I'll tell you now, the fourth one, oh my god, the fourth one was terrible. The third one was perfect. It was a perfect send off. You know,
Yeah.
it was the perfect ending. And what happened? Oh yeah, they decided to bring back Bo Peep and make her into into an unknown badass. You know, like
Hmm.
losing all of her memories of her having a crush on Woody. Man, come on, you don't do that, brother. You don't do that. And also, fam, Woody leaving the gang is another thing that I didn't like. Man, what the fuck?
Yeah. Who knows?
It was
And
terrible.
did you
The whole
did you
plot was terrible.
and did you know that they're even working on the fifth movie at the moment?
No,
Yeah, they are.
no, I swear to God, I will
They
drag Tom
actually
Hanks and Tim Allen out of that recording booth with my own bare hands. I don't care if the FBI
Toy
or
Story
and the
4,
police come
Toy
after
Story
me.
5 is currently in the
Mhm.
development. I think. I can say this next year.
Yeah, yeah.
The next live action movie that Disney's gonna be make a reboot of is Hunchback on Notre Dame. It's officially now, and
I
that
will
they
tell you
made
now.
the
I do
I
not like
I
live
not
action remakes.
I'm not even going to watch this. I haven't even seen most of the other remakes either. I mean, they even going to do a live action version of Lilo and Stitch.
No, don't.
They even made a
Nah.
crossover with that series with
Oh
Kim
my God.
Possible.
Look, fam, let me tell you something. Look at the backlash, you know, from the first teaser trailer of Little Mermaid. Look at the backlash. Look at the backlash.
The new one.
Yeah, man, look, honestly, with teaser trailer,
Uh,
everyone was
yeah, I hadn't
disgusted
even
by.
seen much of that one. I mean,
I didn't watch it.
I hadn't even
I
seen
didn't.
the new Little Mermaid. To be honest,
Yeah.
they considered that a lot of people actually consider that as complete trash. Considering that, I mean, I respect that they want to make a new
Yeah.
remakes to focus on the new younger generations, which is probably fine. But when they do a lot of changes like that, like say Aladdin 2019, there was a lot of change in that. It's like, but okay, Will Smith as the genie, that he was perfectly fit the role as a genie. I mean, he's a good character. He's a good actor, and he fits the actor. But still, it's it's a bummer that Robert Williams died some years ago. If he had
Oh
died,
my God,
it's possible.
they should have not made that out of respect for for Robin Williams. He was perfect. I would
Yeah,
tell you something like, you know,
even though there were actually even a plan for a prequel called Genie's, a movie about Genie before he even met Aladdin. But that idea was scrapped. And they were even the only one live action movie of the Disney is Pocahontas, which has been never gonna be remade. And I just looked
yeah,
up on Toy Story 5. Um, it's it's confirmed it's gonna be released, but it's they haven't like said when those movies will be released, but it will eventually. Um,
I don't know, like, it's just. Do you want to, the problem is with remakes for me? The problem with live action remakes is that, you know, they take a lot of the most important pieces from the original movie. That's what I don't
true,
like, man.
true.
Thank you.
But
I
that
mean,
depends also. It depends, but it mainly depends on which from which movie they are remaking.
Fam,
Like say,
I watched The Lion King with my nan years ago, and let me tell you something. Like, honestly, the "Be Prepared" song, Scar never says that iconic phrase during that song to saying "Stick with me, and you'll never go hungry again." And also the infamous Mufasa's death, that made both grown men and kids cry. Like, what instead of like Scar pushing my man off, guess what man does? Man just punches him off the fucking cliff. What the heck?
I won't know. I haven't even seen the Lion King remake.
Hey man, I'll tell you something. The scene where Simba finds Mufasa's body is so stupid because it's like in the original there was like all this like emotion and all that shit, and then in this remake they're like no emotion because that's not how animals work in CGI. It's
Yeah,
just
true.
stupid.
I mean, but here's the one thing. The lions, they were similar to when they used for Aslan in Narnia. I mean, it's basically the same thing as that they used for that type of CGI version. But I'm just saying it. The live action movies, it depends on which franchise they're used for. Like the the clown. That's I had even seen either chapter 1 or 2, and there were supposed to be talk about a chapter 3 of that one. But that's the question: how would they make a chapter 3 of it when he died in the second movie? Considering from that one part, it's like if he died in the second movie, how would he be back in the third movie? Oh, by the way, he didn't actually die. His physical body died, but his spirit somehow remained intact or something.
Hey guys, like, has anyone ever seen Cars?
The cars, yeah, I think like 2 of them.
Cause I've got some interesting information. We all know what happens. Like after the voice actor of Dark, passes away, it kills the franchise. But a year before, when Owen Wilson played as Lightning McQueen, he 2007 he attempted suicide.
Yeah, and although that a lot of people actually doesn't like Lightning McQueen, I rather prefer his friend Matter, the towing truck. He is a lot more funnier, at least. I mean, he's actually more better character than most of the others, but that's my opinion, though.
I just want to say, like, I remember, like, I used to be a sucker for Cars too. Like, I remember, like, when I was really young, I used to get a lot of merchandise. I used to get like Christmas advent calendar. I used to get like toys, coloring book, sweets, jelly beans, chocolate, cereal, fucking you name it. You name the list, brother. You name the list. But but I remember seeing the movie in 2017, like on DVD with my mate. Yeah.
Especially then
when it was so awkward. I mean, like, everything's happening at once. I mean, like that bathroom scene, so awkward, brother. You got like,
even especially when they made this spin-off with the planes and helicopters. I hadn't even seen neither of those movies either, and I'm not even going to. I prefer this first movie, but yeah. But if they made it this television series of Cars, some of them was actually not that good episodes. Like when Matter meets a UFO, or when he time travels. Here's the thing: when he time travels, some sort of clock end up on his hood on the engine, and he sneeze. And for that makes him travel backwards. Like, okay, that's just. And now a very common popular theory is that there are humans inside those cars and they're living in those 24/7.
Sheesh.
But that's just crazy. But
I'll tell you now, everything in this world is crazy.
yeah, that's just one of
Trust me.
that is just one of the common theories about how. I mean, I remember I did see that from most top 10 amazing store videos on YouTube. Actually, Game Guy knows exactly what channel I'm referring to. There are people that are talking about some can be many different topics, but they talked about some urban legends among things from I think England, uh, Sweden, Germany, many basically of anything. Um, are you guys want to play this Geisha stream?
Um, I don't know, just. There we go. Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say another thing.
That doesn't. Okay.
But like, have you ever watched? Have you ever had a Disney movie that you ever felt emotionally connected with?
Nope, not really. Not that I can think of.
I'll tell you, I feel like Wally, is the one movie that I just felt so emotionally connected with, man. I just felt like, you know, it's 700 years into the future, and and it's all like the world is like the world is dead, and you have like it's empty, climate change and all that stuff, and then like and you have like a robot like he all the robots like you just clean up. I don't really, I don't really want to go. Have you seen Wally?
Yeah, like 3-4 times.
I think I've seen it about like probably five. I don't know. I don't know. But oh yeah. See, like with Pokemon, I'll tell you something. It's so weird. Now that Ash is not with us now, like like Ash is no longer in the anime. He's no longer part of the franchise. But
Oh, you mean Ash Ketchum?
yeah, man. But I remember,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I tell you something. I remember speaking to a lot of. I remember speaking to people yesterday on the Pokemon Discord fandom, and I remember like telling them that, yo, do you remember the XYZ episode where like when Ash lost the Kalos League final against Alan in controversial circumstances. I will tell you now, like the writers of Black and White decided to mess up the script, because I remember like reading a few comments, and one of them told me that the XY gang, the XY writers had a script already made showing Ash winning the Kalos League, but that was thrown out of the bin by the Black and White writers, and so I just write it all up, making Ash lose again. Because
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. Because he had Gudra, he had the Talonflame, he had Oh my god! Don't even get me started on Ash Greninja, man. I remember watching that fight, and I would tell you something. Even to this day, I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck did he lose? How did he lose to a godlike Destroido disc?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, have you seen anything of the newest regeneration of Pokemon and the anime?
I've seen a few reviews, and from Pokemon Radio Boy 12, and from Charles Towers, and they were saying, oh, how it's
Yeah.
or how it's it's great, like it's a bit weird, without Ash,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Yeah,
fresh,
there's
it's new, but but Pikachu is in the anime because he's the official
um
Pokemon
well
mascot.
that's true, but it's not the same Pikachu.
Mm.
That's still a little bit different. For based on what I know, that Liko, which is the girl, she's both also she was in Kanto for this type of boarding school, and I think it was her father. He had reached out to have, or was it the mother who wanted to have removed from the school, and that she ran into to Roy, the boy from an unnamed island, where there were no Pokemon trainers whatsoever, but the Pokemons lived there with peace with the people there, and that Lego has this sort of pendant that contains some form of unknown power, which can this type of organization called the Explorers, which is after the pendant and even her now. And that Roy, he had this ancient type of Pokeball that contained something, but it later revealed they contained a shiny Rayquaza, which is escaped. And that Pokeball was it originally belonged to some form of
Yeah,
ancient traveler or adventure.
I, yeah, I want to I just want to ask, how many variations of Pokeballs are there?
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, this one that that Roy had, they that one is probably the earlier one, but they never actually, as far as I know, they haven't really made a statement how old that Pokeball is, because the one from Sinnoh region was in the past. The one that they screwed like it almost made of wood in a what we call
um,
Fusinian region. That was
yeah,
one of those. But yeah, so we don't know anything else about this that type of Pokeball, if that's even older, because there is one episode where Ash traveled around where he came across this shipwreck that contained a trophy from a previous Pokemon tournament, which the captain on the ship did win, and he had two Pokeballs, which that those Pokeball very much similar to those that Ash and basically all the modern Pokeball looks like, the red and white. Those so it's and
yeah,
especially the one that and especially the time when Ash traveled back in time when he met this young boy with the Celebi. He
yeah,
that also had a different type of Pokeball that he had to be turning as like a some switch or something on top of it before being opening. So it's difficult to know with cert. And those Pokeballs that were on the shipwreck,
yeah.
according to that episode, they were 300 years old. And the one that
Mm.
Roy had, it's difficult to say for how old that one is. If that is even just 100 years old, 200 years old, or even just 100 years old, or even 1,000 years old. It's hard to
Yeah.
say even how old that Pokeball is that Roy has. It's they never actually been cleared because the first season of Pokemon Horizon hasn't even been finished yet. There are still a lot of episodes in that series. So far there hadn't even been any
Because don't
episodes
they
in
all?
English.
Yeah. Because
And
don't they
only
always start with, don't they always have a cycle of 3 seasons and then they move on to the next gen?
uh, it's possible. I mean, so far we haven't. They hadn't even exactly revealed how many episodes in the first season is gonna be as far as I know, there's
Yeah.
13 or 16 episodes, but it could be more. Who knows? They but they, so far they had even been any English trans dubbed episodes so far. Only
Oh,
in
Japanese. Yeah, in
there only
Japanese.
been Japanese subtitles for that, but
Yeah.
you can still watch those videos, those episodes, but they are in English subtitles. But they are Japanese speaking,
Yeah.
but they're just titled as for English. I'm
If I,
curious.
yo, can I? Yes. Yeah, go on, go on, go on.
I mean, it's like when this information came out, when Ash is gonna be replaced as a main character,
I
then
first heard the rumors in 2019.
yeah, yeah, I was like, how? Considering that Ash has been the main character in this franchise for over 27 years, and now decide to replace him with a new character. But at least that the one good thing is that the good guys in the new series actually the captain of the ship. He has the Pikachu, and Pikachu is the second in command on the ship. But here's the thing: the captain, he is also a professor, a Pokemon professor, but he doesn't like to be called professor.
Just a good old captain.
Yeah,
Yo,
I'm looking forward to this team because they were first in Kanto, but they later arrived to Palea, the new region. I mean, here's the, in in the most journey when Ash and Go, when that series was released, I was expecting that one's gonna be focused on only in Galar region, but nope, not at all. And here's one of the most about that. Chloe's Eevee. Chloe's Eevee was
even fam, it should have been called the Pokemon the series Sword and Shield.
yeah,
That's what they should have been. Oh, it's fucking stupid.
yeah,
Sorry,
but
man.
even Chloe's Eevee was very much unique because we knowing that normally an Eevee is an unstable DNA, but that one was even more unstable because before she even got to know Eevee, she was
Yeah.
this Eevee belonged to this type of a lab, but they exposed Eevee to a firestone, thunderstone, waterstone, but it was not like it couldn't even evolve. So it's just, and even when they brought back Serena in the season where, and even Ash interacted with her, but there's like even in that episode, in that season, episode when she kissed him,
Nah,
it's like, oh,
I will tell you now, like that scene, fucking like, immediately cannoned the Amor shipping ship. In my
yeah.
opinion.
And even at even like when we finally returned back to Alola, like um where in the games, Lily's father is found, but he doesn't remember what happened at he that his family decided to let him stay on the island by himself because he doesn't remember them. But that actually didn't happen in the Master Journey series.
Yeah.
Instead, he ended up Lily's father ended up in a Galar region in the tundra part of the country or the region, and that the
God, I don't know why I have a fingerprint.
and then he rejoined the family. It's just weird. Galar descended from G8, the Generation 8.
Yeah. Yo, Sam, can I ask, like, what is, like, in your opinion, your favorite gen, like, your favorite Pokemon season? Any region. Which is your favorite Ash?
My favorite generation would be well, I actually had two actually, Kanto and Alola.
Everyone would. Oh my god! I am a bit surprised because because everyone, everyone would always go for the Kalos, for Kalos, because that was when, like, Ash was at his he was at his prime, he was at his peak, man. When he came,
True. Even though I hadn't even seen much of that generation on the TV series.
But trust me, like, I will tell you now, like seeing Sun and Moon, like seeing the Misty and Brock, the return episodes of Sun and Moon. I just, I just didn't. It just made me hate them. It just made me not like them anymore because honestly, like, I remember like Clement, like from the very first episode, he just, you know, he looked up to
Yeah,
Ash. I just felt like they were really very close friends. They were like brothers, and
yeah.
that
Even though
made
that
me.
you may know that he actually returned in Generation 8,
Yeah, I,
and
I I read about it.
even missed it.
Oh wait, are we talking? Are we what in Gen 8? Oh
Yep.
yeah. I can yeah. I know what you're talking about. This is afterwards. This is
Hmm.
after he won the world championship.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but I'll
yeah.
tell you
It's
now. I remember
yeah,
this was back when I was still on the run. I remember looking up on a thumbnail like saying, Misty confesses her feelings to Ash seeing Pokemon journeys. Blah, blah, blah. I was a fool.
yeah.
Like,
I
yeah,
even remember this episode. I don't remember from which generation it is when Ash is possessed by a spirit of the old king from Pokelandis.
I mean, like, I was a fool until I found out. Oh, it's fake. It was a fake. It was just. Don't believe what you see through the thumbnails because it's gonna be fake. It
Yeah,
might be a ritual or something. You know.
even though there is a lot of in the Pokemon, but there are some episodes that had even been broadcast neither in my country, universe, or even the US. They had even
Yeah.
been even brought. Some of them actually were like the one where they had Porygon when it was released.
Oh wait, are we
That
talking about that one where it gave a lot of kids seizures?
Yeah, that one. There was like 12 kids in Japan who actually saw that happen, and each single one ended up in the hospital for some severe seizures. And in fact, here's the thing: since that episode was only broadcasted for a short time, it was removed and forbidden to be released ever again on TV. So that episode was never being even broadcast in the US.
Come on.
Good thing too, because who knows? I mean, consider how many people love the series, and regardless, if they just imagine this, if those kids were had those seizures, if none of them even had any medical condition that would just causing this, like say epilepsy, if you've had
Yeah.
if you've had it, and knowing how bad it would be when they reacting to fast flashing lights. It's triggers a bad response. It's it makes them can get them make them sick for quite a while. And I
I'm
mean,
watching. I'm watching that one now. I'm watching the one that got banned now. And to be fair, I don't really like.
yeah, I mean, I actually seen that episode, or at least a clip of it on YouTube.
Jesus,
It's weird, but I can understand why that episode was banned in
Jesus,
Japan.
Jesus. It was
It's
like, fam, it's like me. It's like it's like a light show. You go to a concert
hmm
and you get like a light show.
hmm
You know.
yeah, I mean, I can understand why Japan's government decided to ban that episode from ever being broadcast again. I mean, completely understandable. I mean, if 12 children was affected, having a severe seizures just after just watching one segment of a program of a show, and it caused this, and if like if only 12 had caused this, 12 was affected by it. Just imagine how many
Yeah.
more. If this, just imagine how many other people would have been affected if this episode was broadcasted worldwide. In the US, there were. Let's say if let's say if 50% of the American children loved this show, or let's say if it's 100. Okay, say there's 98% of the population of there's children who lost dead of the series. And
Yeah.
every of those 98% has been watching that episode, and let's say it's 30% having quite severe uh, seizures, and 30% it can be thousands. And if that responds to as a U.S. government, that they were probably reach out to the TV stations to ban to make sure that that particular episode is banned or ever being broadcast again, so that they wouldn't have the same patterns repeat. I mean, what if, like, say, even if Game Guy is not a Pokemon fan, but if he were and he watched that episode and he had seizures and it was so bad, it could have been causing him either his life, or he could simply have a bad seizures and he will be feeling sick for hours or perhaps even a few days. It's difficult to say how bad someone having a seizure by just watching something like that. I
To
can
be
tell
fair,
for
it
one
would have
thing.
been, it would have been terrible.
Yeah, because I know for certain that. Because years ago, when I was in school, I had a friend. He has epilepsy, and he he walked through a tunnel, and they had this fast flashing lights. Even afterwards, when we returned back to the hotel, I don't tell you, he was not feeling well. It's like
Really.
he was like it was like he never even had seizures. Good thing for that, but it felt like it's like he's gonna throw up or even pass out. That bad it was. So I know exactly. I can only imagine that part. But having an episode of any particular program where it says could cause seizures. But here's what I do believe that the Japan government, or at least the Japan TV stations, they they didn't know this would cause any sort of seizure response in other viewers. If they had known this could cause a type of reaction, they would even have broadcasted the episode officially otherwise. I mean, if they had if they would have this episode tested from a small group of people,
Oh,
like a preview,
yeah.
if they had seen other people have this type of response, reacted to these seizures, they wouldn't even have broadcasted the episode otherwise. So I know for certain, like if Japan's TV stations had known this could cause seizures, they wouldn't even been there themselves to even broadcast it. But if they hadn't had known, even okay, if they knew about it and they decided not to broadcast it because of safety, but if they did know, but they and didn't care if it would cause seizures, if those those affected by this could have been such badly that they could end up in a type of coma or something. That is irresponsibility. But if they had known at least this would cause this, it wouldn't have been broadcast. So I do know for sure that the TV stations or had no knowledge. They didn't know it would be that bad. I mean, if this okay, what if like say if that the show was made in US or in England, and that they had known that they were going to be this, and if this would have been bad, had known the same thing, they wouldn't even have broadcast it, no matter what. It's like it's like it's like Postman Pat, for example.
Oh my god, yo, are you? Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that tree scene.
that yeah, Postman Pat. He was actually I literally grew up watching this original series that they had from the night, and even Thomas and Friends. even the original
Oh, I
Thomas
grew
and
up with
Friends
Thomas
that
and
they
Friends.
had, the
Don't
one
worry about
that
it. I grew up with
yeah, the original Thomas and Friends, that one. I mean, what if that they had some part of part of an episode that would cause any reactions? I mean, even after like even after when Pokemon came out, the first generation came out. A lot of kids played as Pokemon. I mean,
Oh my god.
when they played Pokemon, it was fun. That was okay. But some took it to a whole new level. Actually remember I'm reading in a newspaper about this, and even saw on TV, heard about it as well, that
Yeah.
several kids actually jumped out a window or the balcony for playing as Pokemon because they were playing flying type Pokemons. And you're like jumping off from the second storage or the first
Are we talking
storage
about Pokemon
house
Go?
of the Pokemon.
Are we talking about Pokemon Go?
The first generation when it came out. Pokemon people, or at least several kids played as when they played Pokemon. They jumped out. Some guys who played as flying types could jump up from the first or second floor storage windows or balcony or something like that for playing as they could fly. Went up in severe hurt.
Really?
That was back in the early, I believe it was in the early 2000s. I remember, but it's it was one of the most devastating. At least those kids did survive, but only had broken arms, a broken leg, or something like that. But still, even like say Pokemon Go, when that from the app on the phone came out some years ago, same thing about that. A lot of people actually okay. I saw this on YouTube actually that one guy playing Pokemon Go while driving in Baltimore, and
Yeah.
he drove into a car that was parked near the sidewalk, and that car was a police car, and the police officers was standing on the sidewalk, and this guy took off, and he in one of the story I heard, a player fell off a cliff while playing the game.
Boy, the hell would he do that?
I don't know. And they were not only that.
Yeah, to be
People,
fair, I
yeah,
don't trust.
but here's another part of that. Here's another for much of the general public, especially homeowners, were much negative of this. Because if you were living a normal street, having several houses, and suddenly people walk in your property to play something like unknown people walking on your property and on your phones do something, that turns out that the people when they see finding a Pokemon, like say if it was a rare type of Pokemon or a legendary that were in someone's yard and they had to walk in the yard to capture it. That was a lot of people had such negative response, demanded the company to change that. I mean, what if was the next? What if it was the next step if someone had to walk in someone's house in order to capture the Pokemon? Well, what if this that the homeowners sitting in the living room watches TV, suddenly someone opened the front door, walks in the living room, do something, and just walk out, and this homeowner's just sitting there stunned if that happened. If that
I
happened,
mean, what about you? Do you play Pokemon Go?
no. Game guy doesn't even either. So, I mean, he's not a
Thank
Pokemon fan.
God you don't play that.
Yeah,
Thank God.
but here's the thing about that. A lot of people actually demanded for the company to change that type of system. So I mean, I can understand. I can completely understand that they didn't want to have strangers walking around in their property, in their front yard, backyard, or even as worst case, even inside their own home, in order to capture these digital monsters. Okay, I understand. So they changed the rules in order. They even changed the game and when it updated that you can stand on the sidewalk in order to capture the Pokemon. If I understand in this yard, or something you had to walk in it, and that's fine. That's actually not a bad idea. That was actually at least better because I mean, what if you were having kids, your own kids, they're playing in the front yard, and you are in house, or and you're seeing a stranger walks in your front yard, and especially could destroying, just walking around, stepping on your flowers or something like that, or scaring your kids or something like it. It's some of the most of what it is damage, and I can completely understand where the several homeowners demanded the Pokemon company to change that they want to have people just walk in their property when they're playing Pokemon Go. Well, had it changed that they could now just stand on the sidewalk in order to capture the Pokemons. That's understandable what they could have done it before. But another thing is about Pokemon Go. I had heard some scary stories about that people actually being robbed. Some can actually be using Pokemon gyms in order to pretend to lure in potential victims of being robbing them. One guy, he was a little robbed by playing a game, and he was like, some other people even have found dead bodies while playing Pokemon Go. Two of those stories were from Mr. Nightmare, that I know of, but those people what have been found were they had died of natural causes. But still, I mean, Pokemon Go was originally supposed to be making other people to exercise more. Okay, in that concept and in that plan, good idea. It's a good idea. Rather than they've been playing video games at home. I mean, what if they decide to do this for any Nintendo games? Like, what if they decide to make a similar game for Mario's on the phone? That would not
I don't
either
know. We
be
didn't need one, didn't they?
yeah. I mean, if that did happen, I mean, what if they made what if they made a sort of a version of Pokemon Go, but for Mario on their phone or something? Or if they made maybe a treasure hunt game, or yeah. But Pokemon Go is it's itself is making people to do more exercise outside in public or in the forest, something like that. It's not a bad idea, but there's always some negative setbacks about this type of games when it comes to that. When the Pokemon Go was public in a general, when people start playing the games, like I mentioned, several people have been robbed or even attacked by playing a game. One guy was playing a game and he came to this Pokemon gym and he managed to beat. And from what I understand, if you beat someone in a Pokemon gym, you will be the new gym leader of that one. And in this particular story, when it happened, the guy who managed to beat this particular Pokemon gym, the other ones who managed it was the previous one, gym leader. When he found out, let's say he was super pissed that he was removed as the gym leader of that particular gym, and he tracked down the new one, and he like say, okay, if that was happened that he wanted to have him back at gym, he could had friendly challenge the new gym leader by a friendly match as normal, but was not even anything like it. In fact, from I remember correctly though, but I could be wrong, this previous gym leader threatened the new one with a knife or a handgun in order to rob it from the phone or anything. So yeah, Pokemon Go had a lot of positive response when it came out, but there were several millions or even almost a billion downloads of this app. But even after the game came out, there were some small changes that, like I mentioned earlier, when people walked into someone's property, that they didn't want to have that, so they changed that so they wouldn't even have that happen again, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing that the company did listen to people's demand that they want to have anyone walks in their private property, which is completely understandable. And that the people had to be focused on were and the being should be focused on the not only the game but also the surroundings where you are, especially if you're walking in town. If you're walking across a street, make sure doesn't if you don't walking as when it's a green light, you've been hit by a car or something. At least always be aware of your surroundings, so you won't be, because even if that you could be an attempt. Well, I wasn't an attempt, but you could have been a target for a normal robbery. Others could have been target for because of that. Because, like I said, several people had been using Pokemon Go in a way to robbery from other people from their values, and that's happened. And if that happened, and other people had played the game but had focused on the mainly on the game, on the screen, on the phone, without completely shut off their about the surroundings, like just walking around and suddenly you're crossing a street and there's a green and boom, hit by a car and you under 50 chance that you will survive with just a broken leg or you're dead. That is that. Another thing is, don't even play the game while driving a car. That's, like I said, that the guy who drew in a police car in Baltimore, that is one of the things. So if you play Pokemon Go, just always be aware of your surroundings, and for God's sake, don't play the game in the middle of the night in park or something, because that is the most part where you could be robbed by playing Pokemon Go if you're unlucky for that. And don't play the game while you're driving. It's not a good idea. Like I said, the guy who drove into a car is, or is the one who walked off a cliff while playing a game. No.
So okay, I'm working out. Anyways, I'm going to head off now because I just thought of just catching up, you know, to see you guys again, and yeah, it was a really nice chat with you guys. It really
All right.
was.
See ya.
Anyways, see you later, man. Don't forget, I'm always free on Discord. I'll see you guys later.
See ya. Well, that happened. Well, now what? Are you even still alive, dude?
Huh? What?
Are you still alive?
Wow, I do. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but like I said though, if people playing Pokemon Go, they should be aware of anything that possible can happen. You can be robbed, but most of all, be focused on your surroundings, especially if you're playing around a town. You don't want to be hit by a car or being robbed. It just you always be aware of your surroundings. It's sort of good positive things to do. Otherwise, who knows what else could happen? Am I right?
Yes. I don't know.
I mean, it's like it's the same thing as you if you're playing a Nintendo Switch, just walking around town without even focus on what your surroundings. The same thing actually. Or if you're playing I don't know, one of those Game Boys and all that. By the way, did you even have a Game Boy before?
Which one?
I mean, have you ever had a Game Boy?
Well, I mean, they made like a bunch of versions of the Game Boy, but I've never had one. No.
Me either. Even when the original Pokemon games came out, what was it, Red and Blue? Never even had another Pokemon games. Well, except from on the computer. Well, I never even finished those games since back then I didn't know any English and I have no idea what to go for. So those games was never completed. So for the most part, I just played other kids games. I think it was I did play one Star Wars game, but I don't even remember which one since this was probably like late 90s and early 2000s. But they have made so many games over the years, so trying to figure out which one it is. Of course, I have played a lot of shooter games over the years: Doom, House of Dead, and there were actually one series of the game that I did like to play. Sadly, I don't know if I can play those games on the computer anymore since different graphics, different colors, and all that, new advanced computers. Those games were this is about a guy who had a dog who he built a car from scratch. Then he built a boat from scratch, and he even built a plane from scratch, and then I believe it was even a house. Those games were actually fun. Sadly, they were not available for online overseas, but they were fun games.
Mm.
I mean, even though like Minecraft, never even played that game, or Roblox. I haven't played any type of games for that type of games in a long time. Actually, not even Doom, the original game. Uh, that's been a while. Last time I played those type of video games was wow. I was probably around your age.
Yeah.
That was more than yeah. That was a long time ago. I believe I was still in school though. I believe it was around 16, 17, like that. I believe it was between 15 and 18 when I played the last video game. That was Wii Sport. The only time I actually played a Donkey Kong game, Nintendo, was wow. I think last time was probably like 11, 13 perhaps. I believe it was maybe 13. It was on my aunt had a game, but I doubt that she even had it anymore. But I never even completed the game either, so the world of this type of old Nintendo 64, I believe. It like this, like a box, and you have this game that you have to slot and stand sort of upright. You know
Oh,
what
trust me,
type of game?
I know what the N64 is.
Yeah, that type of game. I was just, um, yeah, it was just a long time ago. Never much been a gamer myself. That's in that way. But I wouldn't mind to try to play some Street Fighter again though. But
Oh,
try to
that reminds me.
hmm?
You want to know what I got? Well, a couple days ago, I got. Well, I didn't get it yet, but you know what I ordered?
A new Mario game.
Actually, I got a new ROM hack. Well, kinda.
Huh.
You know how the randomizer just kind of throws you into the game and just kind of does what it does?
Mm-hmm.
Think of the new ROM hack I got like that, except it's on steroids. It's completely ridiculous.
Hmm.
You can't change how Mario looks. Well, actually, you can, sort of. It's basically it's a bunch of glitches happening in the game at like once. It's complete insanity.
Hmm.
So, for example, one of the glitches just turns Mario into a sign. Don't ask why, it just does. It's great.
Especially the
Or
one, especially the one you showed that he Mario turns into an elephant.
that was a power up.
I would never. I mean, what's next? It turn into a gorilla.
To be fair, in Odyssey, you can turn into a dinosaur. So,
What?
the
Seriously?
series is weird.
Tell me about it. It's just
I'm trying to think about like
okay.
all the other games that can happen in that
I
realm.
mean,
I'm
what?
actually thinking like,
Yeah, but
uh,
I mean, what if they decide to make him that Mario can be transformed to a gorilla, or even okay? What if does he have the ability to like say Sonic that he can run super speed?
not yet.
That would have been cool, though. Man. But I doubt that he would even be fast as Sonic. But if he had the ability to just run fast, but has not even the same speed as Sonic, though. After all, Sonic his speed he runs as sound speed of the sound, speed of the sound. I think
Wait,
Mark 1, I believe it could be Mark 2, perhaps.
there is
I
a
mean,
partner in one of the Paper Mario games that lets you run fast, but it's not very
hmm,
practical though.
true.
It's only for running. It's only for getting to places quicker. You don't really need it. It's optional, I'm pretty sure. So,
Hmm, makes sense. I mean, would you even want to run as fast as Sonic, though?
oh god, no. I mean, I'm assuming. Here's the thing too. I think Mario probably would because he can just run across literal trains and jump on bullets. So
Mm. I mean, well, it's like Superman in the first movie. He came back when uh, Christopher Reeves, the actor, the one who ended up in a wheelchair after an accident. In that movie, Superman, he managed he after Lois Lane was died in an accident in a after an earthquake. He wanted to save her life, but it was too late. So he decided to fly backwards in the air or in orbit. He flies so fast that he managed to stop Earth from spinning and started moving backwards. And that meant that the time on Earth went backwards. So he managed to save Lois Lane before the earthquake even happened. But realistically, it's impossible to even move it so fast enough for even to change the planet's direction orbit or change backwards. Even if there was only because even if Superman managed to do so, he wouldn't even because it's like when I first saw it happen, like okay, will Earth now go backwards permanently, change it entirely, or will it go backwards forward again as normal? But because if you would even had a build, if you had some form of a spacecraft that could fly as fast as Superman did, that's nearly impossible because even Superman can even fly at the speed of the sound at most, but not the speed of the light. Because if you will have to change the direction like that in a from a planet, like say it's you would have to be travel faster than light, which is impossible. I mean, Albert Einstein's theory that you can travel faster than light. But say that to some sci-fi shows that you can travel faster than light. But be honest, if you would have even be so fast as like Superman or even faster than him, would you even try to do that? Even knowing that I mean, if you would be able to fly fast around the world like that, I mean, if there's a 50-50 chance, what if that the 50 chance that you could travel only make it that you could change the direction on Earth, only go backwards in time, maybe just make this is at the time go backwards, but only perhaps only for a few hours at most. But what if at the 50-50 chance is that you manage to do so, but instead, like if you manage that you did manage to make Earth will spin backwards only for maybe say maybe 1 or 2 hours at most, and that and eventually it will spin back normally, forward again normally. But what if at another 50 chance that if you manage to do so, what if that the planet started to continue to spin backwards, not forward? Even though that moves around the sun normally, but the planet itself spinning backwards. That would have been the devastating effect on that, because that would only means Superman, or, well, if the, like say, if Superman managed to do that, he would be the only one in the world that remembers everything that happened until that moment when he managed to pull Earth back like that. Everyone else on Earth would even, like say, if you were doing some, like say, if you were doing something, if you had managed to finish reading in one book and Superman were backwards, you were suddenly going back, reading book backwards, and you would even remember, you were not even realizing it, because even your mind, your brain, will somehow also go backwards. Or at least, in, I, man, that hurt. My head hurts. But realistically, if Superman could make a planet to spin backwards, but he was in orbit, what about Sonic, for example? If he could run this fast enough for that, yeah, I doubt it. I doubt that he would even be change the direction of a planet to even run fast enough for even the surface. While that and the oceans. I mean, even like Flash, for example, he wouldn't even be able to run fast enough like that. It's another thing. You look, so if you're even in orbit, if you were like Superman, or even had a spacecraft like that, yeah, it's impossible to even to fly so fast enough to even change the planet's direction like that. It's not even possible. I mean, even if you would have a planet and or some sort of, if you had a ship so powerful and even have a tractor beam and you put it on Earth and some wanted to change that, to use that to change the planet's direction backwards, that wouldn't either work, because you had to realize a tractor beam focus on that as a purpose, maybe, but a normal tractor beam wouldn't be able to move a planet and go backwards. Instead, you will be pulling the planet from its orbit, and if you do that, it's hard to say what those effects will happen. You could make the whole planet have a different orbit. That means maybe the climate would be a lot different. The could have very straight, drastic winters. The winters can last way longer, or like I mean, what if you manage to pull out the entire planet from the orbit and Earth becomes a rogue planet, like drifting through space without any modern or even mother star that makes provide the heat? It's impossible for that either. I mean, Moonbase Alpha, a British TV sci-fi show back from the 80s. This explosion, like a strong nuclear explosion, which somehow push or knocks the moon out of its orbit and make it just flying through space like a rogue planet. That's impossible either, because it had to be a very strong explosive for that. And I mean, first it had to be powerful enough to even to knock out the moon of its orbit, but not too powerful for just to vaporize the moon, and not even to be so powerful enough that could damage the Earth itself. I mean, first of all, who would be so stupid to even place a nuke in orbit in order to test that theory? Because if we manage to push the moon out of its orbit, it's since the moon is the one that causes the tides on Earth. And without the moon, well, let's say it's a lot of things would change. Though, if we managed to push the moon out of its orbit, what do you think if we managed to construct a similar object the same size as the moon, but even though it's like a hollow sphere, but the same size as the moon? Do you think that would still work to create tides on Earth? What do you think?
I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea myself. I mean, it's impossible to say for that. I mean, just imagine if you're having two moons in orbit. Yeah, I mean, like the ones that Mars has, Phobos and Deimos, they have not much effect on Mars at all because they're small asteroid-like moons. They're compared to like our own moon. They're even not big enough even to have such an effect at all. But if those moons were same size as our own moon, perhaps even one is roughly maybe half the size of our moon, and the other one is perhaps only a third of the size. Perhaps then it could have been some have an effect on it. But otherwise, but since they're only small asteroid-like shape, they're too small to have any drastic tide effect. But what would you say if there were someone to manage to build some? But okay, have you heard of Dyson Sphere before?
No.
Oh boy. Um. Well, Dyson Sphere is a theory of where Dyson Freeman, I believe no, he's Freeman Dyson was a theory, a scientist back in the late 20th century. He came up with this idea of what you could construct a hollow sphere around a star, which you could live on the inside of that sphere, and you will have an enormous, unlimited power from the sun itself. But that in in Star Trek: The Next Generation, that was from from the 80s, they encountered a Dyson sphere, but that one was so big it would have so big enough that it could contain the whole solar system inside of it. I mean, it had a star, and it is so big it was the same distance as from the sun to the moon, to the Earth, that big. And it contained on the surface, it can contain that's millions, millions of people could live on the surface. And but of course, it's only a theory because it would require a lot of technical skills in order to be even to build that type of things. And another thing is the materials in order to materials to be able to build something that big. You know, have you heard of generation ship?
Say the word again.
Have you ever heard of the term generation ship?
I've heard of generation and ship, but not generation ship.
Yeah, so they also known as generational ship. It's basically if you were sending a spaceship from Earth to Alpha Centauri, which is 4 light years away from us. In light speed, it will take 4 years there back. But if you would have to send a ship with the same type of we have now, it will take in 30,000 years, give or take. So having a crew on board, having a large crew, and they will eventually live and die and start families, and they will teach the next generation in order to how to operate the ship, and they repeat that until they reach uh, their final destination. Safing is quite similar to as a sleeper ship. Is that where everyone's on board is put in some form of suspend animation. Unfortunately, neither of those type of things are even possible. Well, currently at least. For at least, you need a long-lasting power source. Solar panels, slight problem. The further away you get from the sun, less power that will be generated. The only option you have is nuclear or fusion. But fusion doesn't even exist yet. But nuclear, that might work, but yeah. I mean, I already, yeah, but I know about this type of things since I've seen a lot of sci-fi movies and even read about this on Wikipedia and other places. Space, the final frontier. But one day we have to move into space in order to survive. Well, as a species at least. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Can't wait for the summer to end soon. um. So, what you otherwise have any plans for the weekend?
Not really.
Play games, as always.
Well, if
Yeah.
the new game I got shows up, then I'll play it. I'll probably stream it, but I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, you remember what happened to Malachi? That he deleted his channel.
Yeah.
That was shocking. I mean, considering that he had to delete his YouTube channel since he forgot the password to that one. I think what was it that he had that he went to a website that he had to download that he was downloading a game. I don't remember what kind of a game it was, but then it was something that uh, I don't remember exactly what happened that much. It's just that he realized that there was some scam, and that he luckily his uncle was there to help him with that. So that's a bummer. So he had to delete his entire YouTube channel, which a lot of videos, a lot of old streams, all gone. No backup. But Malachi was planning to make a new YouTube channel, but I don't know what the name is. It's like it's one of the most unfortunate things happen to a lot of people these days. Being affected by scams, all that, or even harassed by someone or something. Yeah, it's not a good thing at all. It's like Deanna, for example. She actually had made what can have been 3 or 4 YouTube channels for over a year or two. I was really surprised that that happened. Like one's gone, another one, and then that gone, and that one new. Same thing with Discord. She made also maybe it's 4 or 5 new Discord accounts. Or even it could have been less than that, but I'm not so sure. I kind of lost track of those. It's yeah. I am so bored. I really wanted to do another game show stream today, but nope. No one else. Only Polarizer for once showed up once again after those 4 months of being absence. So, yeah, that's just complete bummer. Am I right?
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, I can't force anyone to just show up, and I mean, Malakat was in the hospital with her uncle. Well, we don't even know what this, if there was any serious or anything. Hopefully, it's not even that quite serious though. Cody, for once, he never showed up, even though, um, even we were supposed to be doing a Thomas and Friends game show stream, but since Malachi was the one to be the host, and uh, like I said, his uncle was in the hospital, so that might have been the reason why he decided to, if we're gonna do it next week. Well, that depends if we will do it next week. It's just that depends how many hours I have left for that. It's just that's it mainly. Um, what else? Well, like I said, Paul Reiser came back after being away for he what was it? He had a profile picture of one of the streams that he thought that we didn't like, which I don't even remember since it's been a while. Like I said, 4 months, and I don't even remember what like much of that time. And Hayden was not even online. Lord, he is not at home, so. And Roy, he's at gym. So that's another bummer. Crazy maniac in gym. It's just these days though. But we have done a lot more game show stream lately than for the past few months. I mean, more than usual. I wonder what else to talk about. Uh, well, when Paul Reiser was here, we were just talking about the random stuff like Pokemon games and the Pokemon shows and all that. Just in Pokemon Go, for example. It just it's a lot of things. And Malaketh on Discord said, "I feel so stupid right now. I also feel like kicking myself in the butt." For what reason, I have no idea.
Which is why I asked why.
Yeah, but if he is watching right now, well, if he wants to join in, even regardless, he is always welcome to join in it. Um, yeah, so I might not even stream for 2 hours. I might just end it earlier than that. I don't know. Excuse me.
Who can say? Oh wait, hold on. I forgot. I was gonna try to do this.
Well. Isn't our Skylight Cyclone dude? He can't even pronounce his own name, Skylight.
Can I do this? We're gonna find out.
So, what up, Michigan Werewolf? How's your uncle?
Good.
Was it any serious?
We didn't even go visit.
Why?
Well, what I was in need for was to wash some clothes for him. And then just as we were, starting to wash his clothes, my grandma called me and my mom and said that he was being released from the hospital. Just as we got there and we started washing them.
So why wasn't he in the hospital?
I'm just gonna say in the private chat.
Ah, that
Mhm.
makes sense. Yeah, and you did miss
And
Paul Weiss.
when we came to drop him off, I asked my mom if I could, you know, come in, apologize to you guys, and maybe probably see if we could try and maybe get the stream going. But she insisted that I go with her to finish drying up his clothes, and I'm like, oh my god.
Sometimes parents can be a pain in the butt. I know.
I know. I mean, look what I said to you about my father.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yes, everything I said about that is actually all true.
Well, you did miss Paul Reiser earlier.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. How is the United Kingdom how is the United Kingdom Yeti?
He is doing well though. Still in school, working in the hospital, children's hospital.
Mm.
Yeah, there was much else happened though. We just talked about many Pokemon and had a few things. Uh, we were so since you were unable to do this Tons of Friends, so I thought maybe do another one about cryptids, but that didn't work. That didn't happen.
You know what? I actually watched the stream yesterday where you said, "Oh, you had over 1,000 questions." You know, I kind of thought to myself, I wonder if he, I wonder if he'd ever, if he ever had the thought of doing 200 in a of those questions in a row for all those, but then add the add the 50 plus they had extra after, and just add them in with the last quiz. It's like the fi- the final cryptid ones, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah. About that though, it's even though I had so far 18 total quiz of the cryptids, it's not the 18 is not even the final one. It's gonna be much more than those.
Hmm.
How many? No idea. Perhaps total 20 plus or more. Depends. But I managed to actually finish off my second Scottish history quiz actually earlier today.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's a lot of things. So how are you though, Michigan Sasquatch?
Mm, nothing much, but all those reasons right there was one to kick myself in the butt.
Yeah. Super Millionaire?
And no, there's no rain.
Super Millionaire? I've said.
Oh,
What did you think he
um,
said?
I don't know what you think.
it, al- it almost sound, it almost sounded like you were asking me if it was raining over here.
I know that Michigan had a
Is
lot
it
has on
raining
rain,
over
yes.
there? Super millionaire? Yeah, I could definitely hear the similarity.
Yeah, I know that Michigan had a lot of rain yesterday and some thunder as well, but funny thing
That
is,
reminds me. I think I'm not sure if I'm able to do this or not actually. But
funny thing is, we had thunder here as well yesterday. I was outside and I was standing under a tree where it happened. No lightning though, but
Okay.
just thunder.
Oh, I wanted to know if I wasn't sure. I wanted to know if Dragon City was a Flash game or not. Because if it is, then I might be able to do something new around here. Have a new game that I can bear you all witness to.
Well, Dragon City is a game you can find Play Stores, the Play Store.
Mm, I'm not sure if it would. Well, it's a Flash game, so I'm not sure if it would be copyrighted or not.
I mean, I've played on here many times, and I haven't been copyrighted once.
Yeah, but that's like a game. I'm pretty sure you
I
pay
can even
and
do
then
I can even do Trash Truck Simulator on here.
fair point.
Even even Minecraft have been on here several times. No one has any problem with that either.
I'm not sure about trying that game. I mean, it sounds interesting for sure, but given that almost everything is made from colored squares and all, it just looks weird.
Hey man,
That's just
don't
my
judge the-
honest.
don't
That's
judge a
just my
book by its
honest
cover, man.
opinion. That's just my honest opinion.
Do you know how many times I've played Minecraft on these streams? A lot. And do you know how much fun I have? A lot. So
And what's the funniest thing I heard last time I was in one of your streams? Say ah.
that's probably the only funny thing I've ever seen in these streams. So there you go.
I mean, you feeding a bomb to the chain ball, and then having it explode underneath him. I was like, oh my god, he blew it up.
Yeah, hold on, I'll get it set up then. That's not the right one. Yeah, there's two problems with this. A, I don't know if this is copyrighted, and B, it's been a while since I've played this. Alright, now can I do this? Present. Yes. Share screen. I would love to do that. Yeah, there it is. Oop. I'm gonna mute that. Just in case. Hey, remember Mario 64? Guess what? They made a 2D version of it. It is actually really good for some reason. And I don't know why. But I might also want to do this full screen. Full screen. Doing that, and now there's this. This is a Flash game. Don't ask me why it is. It just does. And it's free. I'll play Luigi if I want to. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna make some stuff on this. Once upon a time, it was a cat. So, yep. Defeated by Bowser at some point. Played this game forever and I'm having serious flashbacks.
Dude, we can barely hear you.
What? Uh-oh. I knew this was going to happen.
Dude, we can
Okay.
barely hear you. The sound is too loud.
Oh, wait, hang on. Hold on. Everybody, calm down. You might wanna turn that down. I don't know how to do that. How do I do that? It was muted. How do I mute this? Like that. Hold on, everybody, hold on. How the hell did I manage to do that? That's just technology running in its wonderful, terrible, awful self. What the fuck? Oh god, okay, hold on. Everybody, hold on. Okay, how do I do this? Alright. So, let me get this straight. Escape is how you pause, right? I forgot how you pause in this. How do you do this? That sounds right. How do I turn this music down? I forget. Is there not a... Oh my god. I'm gonna fucking scream. Hold on. Oh my goodness gracious. I put it on mute just so you can witness this weird ass game that I've got. But apparently the game said, oh no, I can't do that. Oh, look at me, I'm a video game. I'm so bad. Oh my goodness gracious. Hold on, I'll fix it. If I can figure out how.
Dude, we can barely hear you when you play that game.
I don't know why.
You couldn't even lower the volume or even turn off the volume on that one?
No, I couldn't. And I don't know how. I don't. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't think now. Why is it this way? Oh, there it is. Yep, that would be the problem. But what would be the solution? There is no solution. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know what to do. There might be a... if I had the other computer back at Mom's, I'd be able to do this fine, but no. Looks like I gotta do it this way. Hold on, I got an idea. Okay, that's gonna have to... Now are we good? Now can you hear me and not hear the game at the same time for some reason? Or are we still having some problems? I'm assuming we're fine. Yeah, I'm not hearing any complaints. Okay, we're good. I'm gonna have to keep this tab muted for now until I can figure out how to fix
Yeah,
the.
I can't hear the music, so seems to be working.
It's gonna have to be like that until I can figure out how to, you know, do that further better. I also haven't played this one forever, so. Oh look, it's Mario, and it's Mario still. I just hope this computer can handle this. Can I also do... Oh no, there is. Alright, cool. Welcome to the Custom Kingdom. The first thing you need to do, I don't know why first is up. Okay, is just know how to move. Congratulations, I know how to move. I did it. I'm so good at this game. Controls. Yep. That's what I thought they were. I haven't played this in forever. You can't long jump, but you can do that and talk to this toad and be behind the tree for some reason. Did you know that you could also talk to toads like me with the Z button? Thank you for telling me this. I already knew that, but okay. Star coins. I can't remember what the star coins do. Also, if it's lagging on the stream, I can't do anything about that. It's running as best as it can. I'm honestly a little surprised of how well it's actually going. Ground pound, right? Oh, it's called stomp. That's lame. I like ground pound better. Ah, yes. That sprite is just excellent. So I guess while you guys bear witness to this weird ass game. Oh yeah, that's right. Filling up your health is 5 coins, not 1, which I never understood, but oh yeah, you didn't even need the thingy-mabobber. This is basically a 2D version of Mario 64. It's not like the randomizer, but it's interesting. Also, somebody made this. This is a fan game. I don't know why they made it, but they made it, and it's great. At least in my opinion, it's great anyway. I also forgot the club was even in this game, so that's just great. My only hope is that this doesn't get the stream, copyrighted, but I think we should be okay.
Yeah, who knows? It's possible. Right now, we don't know.
Be kind of funny if the stream just stopped and it's just like, you got copyrighted because you were playing this 8-year-old Flash game. At least I think it's 8 years old. It's been a while. Heck if I know. And don't worry about the rainbow colored box right there. And the colorless boxes. We I don't know what's up with that. I'm pressing space. Why are you not using your flood, dude? Hello, Mario. How are you? What? What do you say? Huh? You mean we are both standing hundreds of feet off the ground on a floating cloud? How did I end up here? Ah, yes. Witty dialogue. Forgot about that. Again, I wasn't pressing space, but it kept going anyway. That's just technology. I also don't remember this flood being so filled. Oh. But um game, usually there's a cutscene and usually there's a warp pipe.
Hmm.
Alright, whatever. Well, we skipped the part where where Bowser takes the princess. Big shock there. And Mario got knocked out, and they stole this weird ass thingy-mabobber. Yo, what's up to do? Hello, Mario. The old elevator here was expanded about a month ago. You see, before Bowser Cave installed all the shine sprites, this elevator was getting way too crowded, so we made a different way up there via Sling Star. You just jump into it and press X to spin around and jump and blast up. I'm not sure why he was so angry when he said Bowser, though. God, that was the game in this game. Look at that. It's just so good. Yo. Whenever, that's space for some reason, also it's shaking for some reason, is placed inside the orb. It basically is the Cow Powers thingy-bobber. Gotcha. I understand everything now. Oh. Well, I'm just standing in a black corridor. Don't worry about it. You need a total of 5 star coins to open the door. Okay. How many stars do I need for everything? That's 2. That's also 2. That's 3. I think that's also, whatever it is. That's 8. Mario just had a pep talk with that door, and it opened. Hey, can you open up for me, for Super Mario? I've got an adventure to go on. Mamma mia! I don't know. Hey, go back. Go back. I saw that. You can't hide that from me. It's space to use this, right? Oh, it's weird. I got a star coin. And I'm about to careen off this. Oh, maybe I'm not. I forgot you can land on the birds in this game. Look, it's a water bottle. Collect it to restore some of your water back. Or if I'm just thirsty and I need myself a drink, then I can just grab this conveniently placed water bottle. We won't worry about that. Oh, there's another red coin down there. Actually, I'll just go with whatever the game wants me to do.
So how's the game so far, though?
It's coming back to me. I haven't played this in forever, so I'm a little rusty.
Is that a line or something?
It's called a Flash game. Normally you would need Flash to play it, but Flash died. Thankfully, though, it's fine because we can just, you know, cheat and use this apparently. You can get that. You can get that. Come on, you got it. Or maybe you don't.
I want that star coin. I don't know why I want
Is
it.
that
But I
a
want
type
it.
of? Is that a water jetpack or something? What is it?
Remember in my Mario quiz, I mentioned something called the Flood. That's the Flood. Well, a 2D
Huh.
version of the Flood, anyway. I can get that, or maybe I can't. Uh, I mean, it's not like I'm gonna need it for anything. I can always come back. Being honest with you, I kind of forget what the star coins even do, so. Back to adventure. And back to immediately getting smacked in the face by a Goomba. That's another cannon, right? I forget what that's for. Look at how big this mountain is. You gotta remember, this game came out. Well, it's not a game, but this experience came out 2008. I'd like to say. Seriously. That's gonna hurt. Alright, cool.
Do you know if there's any Mario games as a board game? The board games?
Well, there's a Mario version of Monopoly, but.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
There's
I
also
didn't
Mario
know.
Party, but that's an actual game series, sorta. I'm also going to die.
I haven't even played Monopoly myself, so
I'm honestly a little surprised at that. It's like one of the most well-known games here in America, so.
no. I mean, Monopoly it does exist here as well, but just never actually played it much. But we do have one game. I don't know if this actually, if this the concept, the same idea exists in other countries, but in my country it is. This board game what we had, this one was made back in 1988, same year as this was born. But basically, that's the name is roughly translated to the Lost Diamond. It's you can travel. You can be two teams, or you can play. I think it's up to 4 or maybe 5 people can play. You're traveling from either Cairo or uh, Cairo or one other place. I don't remember exactly what, but you had to find a certain diamond called Africa's Star, which is based on a real diamond, which is now part of the British crown jewels. Um, it is basically that you can also traveling by boat and planes, but you have to pay. I think it's 3,000 in order to be playing for a plane. Um, there are not only if someone finds the diamond first, the other players need to find a passport or visa and go back to where it started in the game in order to win. But there are some other, of course, there are some small pawns in the game, which contains other gemstones like topaz, emerald, ruby, something like that. And in the game that which my family has, if you had an emerald, I think that one gives 5,000 for it. If you find that one and travel all the way to Cape Town or South Africa, if you find that with if there's a sapphire or with an emerald and it's 5,000, you get 10,000 because that's part of the game. But if you get a robber, well, that's it. You're out of money. A few times when my family have been playing the game, as my mom have played the game, sometimes when she end up on the island, there are, I think it's 2 or 3 islands that you can place those pawns where you can find the diamond or something. But if you manage to get stuck on there, and if you get robbed, my mom ended up being robbed once, and she didn't have any money, and she couldn't go anywhere because you need to pay for the boat, and those islands usually only have one pawn. So, yeah, that's a slight problem. But it's actually a fun game. It's not hard to learn. That is one game that me and my family usually played a lot. Either that or just simple card games. One of the games, simple card game. Don't take me wrong, but the name is if I say translate roughly to Swedish, it would be as turning 10. But for some odd reason, the actual English name for that card game is Shithead. Which is really crazy name for just a simple card game.
Is there lots of toilet paper included?
Ah, funny, dude. Yeah, I know there is a card game that's even sometimes called Shithead in my country, but this particular card game I looked it up on Wikipedia, and I just looked at if it had any English name, and surprisingly it did, and I looked at it, it said Shithead. I was like, are you kidding me? This game, a simple card game, is like... I was just surprised. But, of course, that is the only... I think Turning 10, which I call it, is the only type of card games that I can with a simple card, like poker card set you need for. But I had never played poker in my entire life. I've seen it on TV shows and some of those tournaments, like in Las Vegas. But there is, of course, one game I never even tried. Would be strip poker, if you know what that is. Have you ever heard of that before? Game guy.
Nope.
Well, it's basically you can be up. I think maybe it's 5 people. The game is it's quite simple. If you lose in a game, you will have to take off one of your clothes. Simply as like if you're wearing socks, pants, underwear, t-shirts, and a long sleeve, you have to take off one clothes at a time if you lose the game. But as long as you win, no problem. It's but it's just simply is that the one who end up naked first in that game is lose entirely. Like I said, I had never played a game, and I had I've never played poker either. So I don't know if any of our friends even know about that game, strip poker. But it's just simple harm, you know. So there is actually one video on YouTube where Rainbow Dash Applejack is playing the game, the pony version actually, where Twilight has received in her book that she can contact with Sunset. Sunset had told her about this game, and she decides to invite Rainbow and Applejack to play the game. And since they played the game and Applejack lost, and she had to remove her hat, but that is the only clothing, even remotely as a clothes, that Applejack even wears. So then what? I mean, they don't even wear clothes. They're like basically naked. Well, except for if you go to this Grand Gala where we were in dresses otherwise, but yeah, that's yeah, but there are a lot of weird games out there. I remember one game that when I was in school, this is actually very this one is actually very harmless. It's there can be a number of girls and boys in it in the game that you will have to be leaving the room and stand outside the door. Um, and there's one person that will point all the others, but not saying the names like say only that him or her. And the person can choose from three different options: handshake, hug, or kiss. The name is like roughly as Russian male. I played that game only once myself, but I was like, was probably 11, 12, well, like something like that. I was in whoa, I believe it was between fifth and sixth grade. But I left the game before even we had actually finished it. I was supposed to be giving a girl kiss, but nope. I was a little bit a shy kid back then. It's never happened. uh, but of course, playing games as back in the school years, there are a lot of type of games that I really much liked. When I was in I think it was in the third grade, elementary. Um, we had this like a tag. Back in my old school at the time, we usually played a lot of it actually, and it was a lot of fun. Oh, you're not gonna play anymore?
I kind of just wanted to do it like a test run to make sure it like worked.
Yeah, but you got probably to play it now this more some other time.
Yeah. Plus, it was kind of, draining my battery, so.
Yeah, but what was your um? There was actually one type of hide and seek that we used to play when I was in between fifth and sixth grade. It's kind of like the hide and seek, except that those hides can ran through a tree or the hiding where the spot that person, the seeker is counting down. If you manage to run into a tree or the place where the seeker started at, you win. Well, you're safe. You can't be eventually like that. So, and I don't remember what it's called otherwise, but it was so long ago. But there is one time when I was in also between fifth and sixth grade. Um, Pokemon cards was actually very popular among students. But after some time, I started to notice that there were a lot of Pokemon cards well, I would say a lot, but at least several that have been ripped apart in pieces. Like, literally have been ripped apart. I found maybe the first one I heard found maybe just one or two, or maybe three different cards. I was like, why? And it turned out this. I don't know if this was a very popular in even in the US, or if there was only in my country. I haven't really looked into it, but basically it was that the game consists of two people, and they would throw one of their own Pokemon cards. If you were throwing one card and the other player throws a card, and that one flows further away from yours, that person wins your card. And that was also when it turned out that several people, other kids at the school, when they played this, they lost their, they didn't like it that time. They didn't like the card they didn't have. And since they didn't want to change it back to the one that they had from before, they will rip it apart into pieces. So the school had a lot of it. A lot of teachers had noticed happened. So teachers told the students that we weren't allowed to bring any Pokemon cards to school whatsoever. But I did. I did. But I had money in my backpack all the time. In fact, I remember one time, I did draw a lot of Pokemon and even Digimon characters on paper, and one of my classmates actually liked them, and he bought them for me at school, which is not typically allowed. And first of all, I wasn't even aware if that was even allowed or not. So that's just my defense. I mean, I was like, what, 11, 12 years old? And if they had told that type of rules in the first place, I wouldn't have sold it on. I was just give it to him, but it just happened one time though. But you know, sometimes miss the school years, but not much of this anymore. I mean, especially when I was like in between second and third grade, when my teacher broke my arm. It's like that was one of the worst problems. That's just one of the worst moments in my life. But for some reason, I never even cried anything when that happened. I mean, it's just I was home from school for almost 5, 6 weeks, something like that, give or take, for almost about a month. It was just I couldn't go to school because since I am right-handed and my arm was broken was on right arm, so it was a braille I could even write anything with my hand. So, but it's one of the most funniest times when I was in school, even in elementary, when we went to this the capital to see an old ship and like a museum. It was kind of cool. The last time I went to a museum in the capital was, I believe it was 2016, 2017, I believe. Oh wait, I was actually 2017. We went to this one particular museum which had an exhibit of Tutankhamun's grave or tomb, but all that was copies. None of that were even original. I mean, the mask itself, or the gold mask of Tutankhamun, it's worth billions. That much is worth. But we went to another museum which had real, authentic mummies, like real mummies. I was like, jackpot! I had never seen a real mummy in my life before that, but I was ecstatic. It was actually interesting museum, but it was also the same year, only about a month after a certain event took place in my country, in the capital at the time. Sweden's first known terror attack. Someone drove a truck in the middle of the Stockholm, and the truck was filled with explosives like dynamite or C4 or something like that. and this guy had pledged allegiance to ISIS. He he drove into a clothing store, but luckily the truck didn't even go off. There was only 5 people that died, and he managed to kill over by running over. One of them was an 11-year-old girl, and she was on her way back home from school. It was just a dark day for my country. It just not a good time. I mean, it's like when in Norway some years before then, the same thing, but way worse. I mean, much way worse. This man, he he placed a car outside a government building in Norway's capital. He well, except for one thing, he was intended to place the car in one spot, but that spot was taken. So he detonated the car in a bomb, and I believe it killed 8 people in that building. And then he left the capital to an island only several miles outside, and this island was had this youth club. A lot of teenagers that was part of the working class party, like a political party's youth group. They had this gathering there, and they heard about what happened in the capital the same day, and this man literally showed up on the island, a police officer, just only one. And they thought maybe he was there to keep them safe or anything, but he started to shooting them with several um, handguns, machine guns. He killed 69 teenagers on the island that year alone. It's one of the worst devastating shocks that happened in Norway's history. And a lot of teenagers, this was in the summer, several teenagers jumped in a lake, trying to swim away from the place while he was still shooting. Other were civilians on the lake that they heard what happened. Some of them managed to grab onto this in a boat and pull them back to the mainland. This was in a lake that happened. So what happened else? Well, those teenagers that didn't manage to get into the lake, that will still remain on the island. Several actually hide in buildings or scattered across the island in different places that they could find any hiding spot enough. Some took a very drastic measure to keep themselves alive by hiding underneath some of the dead people, which I don't think it is. It's I mean, lying underneath your dead friends to keep yourself alive. I cannot even imagine the trauma that those people went through. Some of those teenager survivors have still had even perhaps even had moved on from that trauma. I mean, can you even imagine? It's like lying underneath your some of your close friends, someone you had known for your entire childhood, or even have learned for just got to know for only a few years or a few months. Some of them laying on top of you, bleeding, and just keep yourself pretend to be dead in order to survive. I know that people can take a lot of drastic measures in order to keep themselves alive. It's I mean, game guy, would you even have done that? I mean, laying underneath some of your dead people in order to keep yourself alive. Would you?
Um, I don't feel comfortable answering that.
That's fine, but I would. I mean, as if there was a last resort, but it just. I mean, if there's no other hiding spot you can find, like under maybe under someone's in a building in an outhouse or anything. But yeah, it's just it's unimaginable how unthinkable to just even imagine this. Like it can't even imagine like putting yourself in those teenagers survivors in their own in their you've put yourself in their shoes and to imagine how to be standing on the island hiding somewhere hearing these gunshots echoing from across this camp, or if he was only 2 feet away from you or even less than, or if he stood next to you even that he didn't even realize it. That was the most shocking and the devastating effect of it. I cannot even imagine, like, I mean, that's just the thing about it. You can never even imagine terror, the fear in someone's heart, and even especially if you're hiding in a outhouse or even a cabin underneath a bed or even a closet or basically or even in a kitchen, maybe in a freezer in order to keep yourself alive. I would have I wouldn't even have to imagine it's like. I mean, especially those teenagers that did survive. I mean, imagine that they had gone through therapy, perhaps for months or for entire life rest of that. And especially those teenagers that had to be hiding under beneath their friends' bodies in order to keep themselves alive. It's, I mean, if you're on an island and there's only a handful of buildings scattered across the island, the main camp, and perhaps a boathouse that's connected to the, and since there are no bridges connected to this island, if there's only one way to just keep yourself alive, but just hiding beneath a building, or if there's any like a crawl space in the building, maybe then try to dig under beneath yourself and hide there. Meantime, but yeah, I cannot even imagine what those teenagers went through on that particular day on in Norway. It's even that man to this day, he still demands that he is wants to be released from prison. The fact is, he he regarded himself as a knight, that he believed that the entire government in the Norway society had been was corrupted, had been impure. He wanted to get rid of all the influence of other cultures like Islamic. Uh, he considered himself as a Knight Templar, and in fact, he even wrote his own manifest about it and had it published online. This man believed that he was Norway's savior or some sort. That when he wanted to, he believed that the Norway society had been corrupted so much influence of the Islamic or other influences. But the fact is that cannot be stopped. Considering that a lot of people around the world for the entire history. Considering from one thing, the Arabic world, like Iran, Iraq, and all, for basically every the Muslim countries in the time, they were more advanced in several fields of like math, science, astronomy. They were more advanced than they were more advanced the rest compared to the Western countries at the time. They had more advanced knowledge than even we had in the medieval times. When we were still in Middle Ages, like in the Dark Ages. When we were still in Dark Ages, we had lost a lot. Well, the rest of the Islamic countries, they were more advanced in several fields, math, science, you name it. That knowledge came to us much later after the Dark Ages. And it's thanks to that knowledge that a lot of we have made so much progress ourselves eventually with over centuries to come. But with this man who killed those 69 teenagers on an island in Norway, he changed a lot of lives that day. Some of the families never saw their child alive anymore. Even 10 years after this happened, they rose a memorial after that day, on the 10 years anniversary of the accident, of this terror attack. And even included that meant even those survivors and their families and those deceased teenagers' families was there to honor those who passed away that day. It's like one of those school shootings happened in the U.S. Like the Columbia and other schools there. Same thing. It's just you cannot even imagine like if you're a teenager still in high school or even college, and you're suddenly if you're walking in the school hallways or even in the cafeteria having lunch, when you suddenly hear gunshots and it just you can't even imagine it. I heard one story yesterday about something similar to that. This teenager through the hallway saw this other teenager, another classmate of him, in full military gear, protective suit, handgun, several rounds of firearms and ammunition, and even had this type of visor, like the SWAT team has. And even this teenager who was in his full gear saw the other classmate, and it could have shot this other teenager, but it didn't. In fact, instead, this teenager in full gear just turned around and walked away, and a moment later, bang! Only one single gunshot. He killed himself, rather than just didn't perform any others. So he killed himself, but he didn't attack anyone else. That's one of the worst decisions, and what happened. Even Sweden had only one known school attack. This teenager, dressed almost like Darth Vader, wielding, having a handgun, and even an actual sword. He went to school and he walked around, and even several teenagers, other classmates or students, actually stood next to him, took selfies, because they believed this was just some sort of joke or maybe a gimmick or something. They had no idea how close they could have been to being killed. But eventually, he did kill a few teachers and harmed one student, I believe. But this was a horrifying event. You really can't even imagine putting yourself in those students or those people's shoes. Just seeing one moment of your life in front of you, and next, gone. You can't even imagine this like. I mean, I can't. I had never even been in that type of situation, and for frankly saying, I really hope I would never want to be anything like it. And be honest, I don't think anyone wants to be in any sort of situation that you're being so close to be dead. Just imagine yourself if you had when you're in school, or even or if you're in a store. Like say if you were at the local Walmart or even a local grocery store. Any place in the world can be a potential target for anything like it. You know, I know that people prefer not to talk about this, but this is something that people should talk about. I mean, this was actually happened last year. I believe it was around summer, Texas. There was a school that had a school shooting. Several students died, and months later, the mayor of the town decided to demolish the school because none of the other students or teachers didn't want to go back to the school because they brought back bad memories, which is understandable. But there was one story that shocking enough, a 7-year-old boy brought his own father's handgun to school. I'm not kidding. A 7-year-old boy brought his father's handgun to school and even pointed a weapon in class. I think he even shot I think he just shot a teacher. I don't remember exactly what else happened, but it's just imagine that. It's just horrifying. Seeing a 7-year-old student sitting at their school bench and suddenly pointing a handgun towards you. It's like your whole life flashes by your eyes. It's one of the terrifying scenes you cannot even imagine. I mean, seeing these things happen in movies, TV shows, or even games is one thing, but seeing it actually happen in real life, even if you're sitting next to the student, or even you're at the actual target, is an unthinkable imagination of that. I can't even imagine the person who's had a weapon pointing at how this person will feel, only feeling terror. Like you're seeing your whole life flash in front of your eyes in front of you. You're being ghostly pale white, feeling your heart racing faster, like sweating like a crazy, like if you're sitting in this middle summer day. Yeah, it is not something you want to be experience. Not at all. The closest thing I came to is the closest thing I would say closest to I could lost my life would have been in a serious accident. This was many years ago. At the time, me and my mom was over to my sister when she lived in a town over with her ex-boyfriend at the time, some close. Back on the way home, this was in the middle of winter. In a lot of states, there was a lot of snow that winter. And one car was in the ditch with the hood down. Only the trunk of the car was visible up. Our car spun on the road almost twice, and our car stood with the hood and the trunk facing both ditches. We were still standing on the road, but on the road there. But my mom sat in the car, holding the steering wheel almost tightly, and myself I stood there holding the dashboard, so shockingly fair. That was probably the most closest thing as I could have lost my life if it was been any that worse. Another time, I literally had my entire life flash by my eyes. I'm not kidding. It did actually happen. I was just walking by for some people that were on the swings, and boom! Someone hit me in the back with a swing. And of course, this is my fault. But I should know that you don't walk any close to someone in a swing. And I flew like probably 3 or 4 feet in the air, right in some bushes. And I literally saw this my entire life flash by my eyes. I couldn't be more than 9 or 10. And I'm so lucky though, I never even had any back problems because that was right in the back. That was the only time that I could see my whole life flash by my eyes. I was scared. I only heard the term seeing your life flashing in your eyes from movies, TV shows, you name it. I never even imagined I was being experiencing anything like myself, but I did. And frankly, I'm surprised that I even had that happen to me any again and again. I just happy at least that that's hasn't happened again. And I also glad that I never had any thoughts of suicide, which I'm pretty much glad for I never even had. Fine Goddess though, she did. She was in high school at the time. She had a crush on her best male friend at the time, guy friend, and all I know that he rejected her in such a bad way, and I don't even know exactly how bad, but I had even no attention to even ask about it. But she thought of commit suicide, but she never even came in close to even do that. Her parents, they were aware of it. But ever since we started dating back in 2018, when she told her mom about it, when she came clean why she was smiling so much, she was really excited about it. Because before then, she never even had a boyfriend before that. Firegoddess' mom was so excited that her daughter had a boyfriend, despite that I live in a different country. But to be honest, now these days, a lot of people can be dating someone across the country or even across the world, which is the normal practice these days. But her dad, though, well, let's say her dad was not really much keen of the idea. I mean, if it's a long distance. If he was like, if I had lived across the state or maybe just across the town, maybe, but across the world, well, but eventually, Firegoddess' dad actually accepted it. But be honest, I can understand why he was, well, not much happy with the idea at first. I mean, first of all, there is 6 years between me and Firegoddess. And even if I only had, even if we could just first start dating, it's like her parents had nothing, they didn't know anything about me. I mean, they didn't even know if I was a very much good guy that I presented myself to be as on Facebook, like by texting or FaceTiming like her. I mean, who knows? I could have been complete opposite personality. I mean, that could have been used as some sort of an act, a charade for me. I could have been I could have been complete psychopath. I could have been a sociopath. I could have been, I don't know, abusive. I mean, if I wouldn't be meeting her first time, but if it was just me and her alone, I could have been. I mean, what if I was a such abusive, dominant guy? I could have forced her to do things that she didn't want to. I could have abused her. That is one of the things that her parents may have just understand could have been worried about. And be honest, I get it. I get it. Parents have always been scared or at least worried that their daughter or their son were meeting a person they had talked online for a while for the first time in person, without even despite themselves had maybe talked to them themselves and they present themselves to be just a good guy, and in the end they're a complete lie. Even though even if I say, since like I said, there's 6 years between us, and if I do present myself that my age is, I was honest about it. And if it turned out when I met her parents and herself, and I was actually the same age, but I present myself around them, I'm a very friendly, peaceful guy, but when I was with her alone, I could have been this abusive, demanded, forcing her to do things like, say, well, forcing her to do some acts, which I wouldn't do otherwise. But you know what I mean. And that is not the way I completely understand that. I mean, I understand her parents would have been so worried. I mean, they wouldn't even send their own daughter to a different country alone. I mean, if you've just only been talking to some person for a, a few months or even just a year, if I lived in Michigan with her, or at least maybe a different state, just one state away from her, maybe I would have been able to met her more personally or something like that. I mean, if I got that I end up meeting or had fallen in love with Malachite, for example, and if her parents really find out that he lives in the same state and even not that far from her, and of course, like many people are would do, is meeting the first time in public, like say, I don't know, a cafe or local park, middle of the day, not in a sketchy area or something like that. That's one of the first good things I would do. Even with despite we had tried to plan meetup for several years now, but COVID is just one of the things. But if COVID not even had happened, we would have met up much earlier. Unfortunately, I won't be able to meet her dad in person since he passed away 4th July 2019. But I did talk to him once in FaceTime. Be honest though, I was happy that to be with her. Her parents was actually happy. Well, her mom at first, but her dad would eventually accept it. But my parents, they were complete opposite. They didn't want me to be with someone with some. Well, I wouldn't say they were. They weren't happy about it. They told me that I would never meet her in person. It's not gonna work out or anything. Even my dad tried me multiple times saying that I will find someone else much closer. Or he even suggested this dating site for people that physical disabled, like autistic people or others. But I said no. I said no immediately. But that website is no longer around, which good thing. But if my dad would have made a profile on it with my picture, and if I found out about it, I would have been pissed. Like, he broke my trust and tried to set me on dates with some other people that I didn't even know and even had no attention to even to know at all. I mean, what if some of your parents decide to set you up on dates with someone they have? I mean, like game guy. What would you do if your mom or your dad had a friend who has had a daughter around your age and they just want to see you happy and force you, well, I would say maybe not force, but set you up on a blind date with their daughter, even if you probably had met her before, but and set up on a date. What would you do, or what would you tell your parents if you find out?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just I was I would have been happy. At least one of the things is that Malachite's mom might have an well, let's say he might have the heated discussions with her about it, but if it was his uncle, probably perhaps it's the same. But even though he has no contact with his dad, but if his dad did have a contact with him, it's like only by email or phone call now and then, and he had a friend that he just decided to set up a date between him and that friend's daughter and between Malachite. I think Malachite might not even want to be into it at all. I mean, considering it's not being aware of this at all. Considering that. But if there was that, if Malachite knew the girl well enough and have met her perhaps several times before in the past, it's possible he could consider it. But if it was me, I don't know. And to be honest, I not even had an attention to that. You see, before I even met Vigos, I was single for almost 8 years, for about 7 years. And if I had even found my ex, the one I had before Vigos, I may have just simply just given up hope of find someone. I mean, I would not even have tried to use Tinder or any other type of dating sites or dating apps. To be honest, I heard a lot of sketchy stories from Tinder. But yeah, I'm glad though. I'm glad that I actually met Vigos. She means a lot to me. And if I would have lost her somehow, I would just simply just give it up. I would just live alone, focus on myself. Perhaps I could find someone else, but I seriously doubt it though. I just would rather focus on my life and live for the best as I could. But who knows? Maybe one day our friendly Michigan palm tree will find someone to be with. Someone who has the same
Who's the one
personality,
that
the
needs
same
it?
interest. I mean, it's possible even that even Roy could find someone who's had the same interest of being at the gym. That's actually the best thing about you. The best thing is to be with someone is to have some things common. Because if you don't have anything in common at all, it will be hard to even to you know have a normal conversation about some things. Like you like the video games, you like family, spend time with friends, and if you did find someone who is around your age, or I mean, if you did find a girl who is, I'd say between 18 or even as I don't say maybe 24, something like that, and also likes video games, it was a big gamer like yourself, that would have been a huge bonus. Because you had to be at least if you were will be interested in someone, always remember there should be at least one or two things in common with that person. And I mean, otherwise it would be a little bit awkward if you don't have anything in common to have common interest. I mean, if you're like, say, if you like comedy movies, action movies, and she likes only comedy, and that she likes sci-fi, and if she likes to play similar games as you are, that's a bonus. Always remember that you really have to at least have some things in common, otherwise it will be a little bit awkward if you don't have anything. It's like if you were to want to talk about Mario games, the Mario movie, and this girl doesn't even like anything about Mario's like things that she would like, Mario is the absolute worst game franchise ever. And that would have been like an insult to you and other gamers who prefer Mario and Donkey Kong type of games. And that's true. If you want to be dating someone, you have to be at least have a few things in common otherwise. Or at least have open mind that you would try to things. I mean, okay, if you were to find a girl and she likes same Mario type of games or maybe want to try new games, and if she was a big fan of skydiving, and if she were to ask you to try it, what would you say?
I wouldn't have to worry about it because I'd never find love.
Hmm. But okay, would you been would you be okay being in a hot air balloon?
Probably not.
Well, that depends, of course, maybe how up in the air. But would you be okay if you were in a tall building?
That I'm fine with.
You know this Space Needle in Seattle?
I think so.
um, or Washington Monument. If you're like
Yeah.
in that topic, if you're, or even, okay, would you be able to stand on top of a building, like say, the former World Trade Center, up in the top of it?
That I'd probably be okay with, because at least there's something to like, I can hold on to like a railing or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that is something I would try myself, but to be honest, I have fear of heights. I had it for many years, but sometimes it's like I can turn off. Sometimes I can't. To be honest, since I really, if I would have to be in, since there are only two ways to travel from here to US, if I want to be able to travel to see Fire God as a person, is either boat or plane. And since boat can take a few days, up, I think it's 1 or 2 days to depend on where you go, and of course the travel, the weather and all that. But plane, that also depend on the final destination of the plane would be. I mean, if there's like in New York, maybe 8, 10 hours. If we're a little bit further away, perhaps 12, 15 hours. So I would rather take a plane, but like I said, fear of heights. I had even never even been on a plane. that's gonna that's gonna hurt. Like if I either freak out or pass out or even throw up, well, that's your normal response to be, especially if you never even been so up in the air. But you know, since I even have phobia of big crowd gatherings, like social phobia, it was a lot of big problem for me growing up. Like I couldn't even be near any large group of people that I didn't even know, or if it was people that I know of that someone actually just may have been friends to my parents or friends to my other relatives. That was something I preferred just to step away from that. But now I can handle that much, much better. Still, even sometimes I prefer to be alone, but at least I had more socialist. I tried to be more social, which had been a lot of progress. It took some time for that. But the same thing is when it comes to flying a plane. Same thing. I had never even been that far up in the air. The tallest I have been is probably, I don't know, 100, maybe 200 feet up in the air at most in a building. But that's it. I had never been as far as like a plane goes. I mean, it had to be one day that I really want to do that. Just even if I manage to pull that off, it would be a good milestone step for me. If I can manage to pull that off, I'd just be happy to be able to then. If I can pull that off, I wouldn't even have no problem to go over to see if I got this by plane next time. But like now, it's a little difficult, mainly for one reason. My parents, they won't even let me go, despite I know the language really well. But mostly it's because the reason why my parents won't let me go is just they don't have the finances for that, economics, yet, and no passport, and of course, gun gun violence. There have been a lot more shootings in the US for the past few years. But honestly, though, it has been a lot more shootings even over here. And it's just even in my own hometown, which I don't live anymore, which has a lot been experienced a lot of shootings for the past 2 to 3 years. Like increase of shootings. Like really increased. Like early this year, a mother and her young kid was just outside uh, in a playground near the apartment complex. Boom, boom, two shots. Both ended up fired being shot. They were not the target though. It just happened. It just. But where I live now, crime, well, it's major crimes. It's like not even heard of. Like bank robberies, not happening. It's not happening at all. Sure, we do have one bank, but they don't even save, they don't even store any large number of cash anymore. But other major crimes like I said, bank robbery. Mm-mm. Other type of crimes like murder, not a that's like non-existent. Oh, by Malachite. But like I said, murder is like non-existent. It has only been one murder. Well, that one in the outskirts of my town, but that was like only one in the last past 20 years. Like, as long as I've been living here, only that is the only murder that I know of. But other type of crimes, like say rape or something like that, assault, well, that happens. But not a bunch of big major crimes. Not at all. I mean, we are so small community, so like 8,500 people. We don't even consider this a town or a city. Never had, never will. But I'm just saying though, you'd be glad to be living one in a community or a place where you don't have to be worried about being shut down by this gang violence or anything. That's the problem. A lot of major cities in the U.S. like Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, you name it. There's a lot of hotspots when it comes to gang violence. Trust me, it's a lot of that. Where I live, there's almost no gun violence at all. No gangs. Well, there were actually one type of gang that call themselves as mafia, but they were mainly teenagers. But they just vandalized bus stops, graffiti, but not much of any human attacks or anything, or shootings. Good thing for that too. That's just, but though that type of gang hasn't been around for I don't know what how many years, maybe part of a decade of that. But sometimes I wonder what the world is going on to. I mean, sometimes I do wonder where in the heck is the world leading to? I mean, we have seen increased violence everywhere. US is not an example, it's a bad example for that. That happens even way before this. I mean, gun violence has been part of the US history even way before neither of us was born. Not even they could have been around your parents was in your age, and even your grandparents or great grandparents. Same thing. My country has also been experienced a lot of violence, but over the years, but it's part of the development. But it had increased a lot of violence over the years. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I do wonder. Is there any place in the world that's even safe, remotely safe? Well, it's only one place that I know of that's is well practically almost the safest place in the world, which would be Antarctica. They had no violence, no serious crime. Well, except for one. 2018, the first known was even the South Pole or Antarctica has almost zero crime. I mean, big, serious crimes. Like, I mean, since there are no permanent settlements in the South Pole. I just, I wonder, will it be any, will it ever be any world peace in our lifetime. I will somewhat doubt it. But I just, I do wonder, what is the world going on? What is the world leading us to now? I mean, we have we have seen a lot of increased violence and conflicts around the world, like small armed conflicts like in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, and it just, what's the world is going on leading to? It's right now, I have no idea. I just hope that all this violence, gun violence, or basically anything like it remote to that, can just simply stop. So no one had to be worrying about it. Like this being going out in a big major city, not to being worried of being shut down, by gunned down by being stopped by gunpoint or some point on a simple street, even in the middle of the day. If you're on your way to school, if you went to the store or to work, no matter what. I just wonder, is there anything we can do to help to stop this? Some people say, nope, that's we passed that limit long ago. Now all we can do is just wait to see the other gangs just wipe out each other, and so we can just remote that. I mean, is that? I mean, what if there were two gangs in one major city that was in war with each other? If someone like just want to stop it, but if someone said like, no, let them kill each other, just we tried our best to stop it. But it's not their human right. I mean, it's not like if we were people that had loved ones or your friends in those gangs, then you can't just stand seeing that happen. Try to convince them to leave the gangs. But some gangs that's really difficult for that. Some members of certain gangs can't be just leaving. If they do, they will be branded as traitors, and they themselves could eventually be found and executed according to the gang's styles. You know, sometimes I wonder, is this gonna be any peace? Is the world safe enough for anywhere kids, future grandchildren, or future generations? Sometimes I do wonder. The world is right now is pretty dark. It just, you never know what's around the corner, what's gonna happen the next day, the day after that. Just, you never know. I mean, just like one day your brother Roy is driving to the gym, and simply just before he even just walks in, someone walks up to him, asks for some cash, and then if he has no cash on him, he just shoots him to kill, or if it's someone like I know can happen up. It's one of those things that you never know. Life isn't pretty. It's like life is not like on Dance on Roses. Life has always the dark, twisted turns sometimes. No matter what you do. Even despite you try to avoid problems, try to avoid any conflict or even any such negativity around you. But sometimes things have this twisted turns, can even catch up to you, or even change things that you really hadn't even expected. A lot of things can eventually happen. One day you can be sitting at your, just going out and never return home. That is the part of the reality. Just, I know it sounds dark, which it is, but we had to realize this is part of modern lifestyle these days. Despite how much we try to avoid any attention or to bring any bad attention to others, even if we want to help other people and that alone can also bring us to a bad situation. In fact, I saw this one animated story where one guy or one male student helped a pregnant lady from because she went into labor. But when he was on actually on his way to meet his girlfriend for her first date, but when she called him and he explained the reason why he was late, she didn't believe. She didn't believe in that he was actually helping someone. In fact, she told him that he shouldn't have helped her at all. There were other people nearby, but no one else that even just people just did he just ignored her. I'm like, are you serious? That happens. Despite that this is in our nature to help, there are some bad rotten egg people out there, but there are also good-hearted people that is good-hearted, no matter what happens. Even sometimes the most good-hearted people could end up in a such serious, deadly situation. Sometimes they can get leave that area, that situation with their life. Sometimes they cannot be end up in dead, or just simply robbed, or other things. It's just sometimes this topic is just maybe a little bit too drastic or too dark for even to think of. Sometimes when you don't want to talk about these kind of things, but it's realistic. We have to be realistic that despite this may not happen to me or you, it just happens. Well, I should probably end the stream here. It is already for almost
I mean,
3.5 hours.
Things like, why do you think I'm so brutally honest with myself when it comes to love?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this kind of things happens daily basis. Regardless, what we don't want to get ourselves involved in any such things where, despite we're helping other people, that we can end up being considered as a hero, or we can be in a even you want to help someone, and you could end up being next to being end up on the local news as the guy who went trying to save and end up being dead. It another some of those things that we don't know. I mean, we don't even know what the next day will bring us, what the next day will have planned for us, what has stored for our next day in life. I mean, the next day could be your very last in life on the planet. I mean, next day you can just be simply, oh, this was gonna be a great day, normal day, and then who knows if you end up in a car accident or or if you have a neighbor that snaps out at you and boom, you're dead. That happens. I know these are dark topics. I know, but sometimes it's good to think. Sometimes it's good to talk about this. Just get out of your system. So have even it's a very serious topic. Even
Oh, I've got a lot of things I want to get out of my system, but
yeah. But this is not a topic that I don't usually talk to neither of my family or other friends at all. This is something that even I want to talk about it, but this is the question is who is willing to have this type of conversation and who is willing to listen? I mean, sometimes I can talk to my boss at work sometimes on something like this, but that's pretty much it though. Or to my parents sometimes, but it had to be with someone you can really have this type of conversation with. Some people may just tells you like, I don't want to talk about this. Can I talk about something else? Or uh, and if it was like involved topic, politics, for example, like if someone started talking about the upcoming election for the next president in the U.S., like say now Trump is trying to be the next president again, which also what he was in in a trial in New York for about a couple of months ago for a number of different accusations, bribes, document frauds, and even the sexual attempt of rape, which he was found not guilty, but he found guilty for sexual harassment, where lawyers had to pay $5 million for it, which is what he was trying to appeal. What had its that sentence been removed? But if he managed to pull it off, I don't know. I don't even care, to be honest. Trump had done a lot of quote unquote shit problems for his own self and country. Especially when he has his personal home in Florida raided by the FBI. He claimed those boxes didn't contain any secret, top secret documents. They were only containing clothes. I mean, seriously. 50 boxes with clothes? Wow, well, Trump, you really had a lot of clothes in the White House. Seriously. Well, I should probably end here. It's nearly 3.5 hours. This topic went really serious. More than usual.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. Be honest with me for a second, though. Do you ever think I'd ever find true love? Because I honestly have no clue.
Yeah, I do think so.
I mean, it's
Yeah, you might find love. It takes time. I mean, think
it's
about, just look at me. I mean, before I find Goddess and the one I happened for her, took me 7 years. Even I was close to simply giving up.
that was only
If I did,
7, though. Before the whole situation we had
ah,
back in whenever the hell that was. I've been romantically alone anyway for what, 13 years? Do you know how lonely it gets without having, you know, whenever Roy's not around and stuff like that?
true. I get what you mean.
Ever since the whole Aurora thing happened, and ever since I got denied by Crystal, I've been, looking at myself a little differently.
Yeah, I hear you.
It was around that time that I started thinking, oh no, the reason is I'm uglier and shit like that, and it's not a good feeling at all. Roy might be able to handle it, but I'm not.
True.
It's so hard to ask for anyone, to just love me for who I am, that isn't, my friends, family, whatever. It's all I want. I don't think I realized how much I needed it until now, though. It's just one of those things,
Mm-hmm.
As it stands, love is still a mystery to me. Will I ever decode its secrets? I don't fucking know. Do I want to? I can't answer that. I just want to find someone to love, man.
You will. You're still young, so don't worry about that.
I know, but Roy might be able to handle his heart getting broke, but having a psychotic girlfriend and then getting denied by someone that is mostly like you just sucks.
Mm-hmm. It does. Well, I should probably end here. This has now been 3.5 hours. Ish. Longer than well in a while now. Well, everyone, this has been an interesting stream, and that's a guarantee on that one, though. Originally planned for a game show stream, but nope.
It
And I've
turned
been-
into a game of life stream.
Well, maybe next week can do one. Or tomorrow. Who knows? Well, everyone, this has been fun. So, this is Fish Diablo signing off. Bye!
Bye.